is Joy News Prime.
Welcome to Joy News Prime. Wherever in Ghana or in the world you're watching, my name is Israel. Coming up, Food and Drugs Authority gives all clear for palm oil scare 3 months after warning that the product had been adulterated with a cancer-causing agent. Disagreement over eurobond transaction forces Parliament to briefly suspend sitting. Chiefs and elders of Nkonya and Alavanyo commit to a new round of mediation to end 95-year-old conflict between the two Volta region towns. And as government officials are forbidden from traveling on first-class cabins on the international trips, we'll be telling you about what they are being forced to give up. There will also be sport, entertainment, and your social media comments, all in this abridged hour-long version of Joy News Prime. So stay tuned. The Food and Drugs Authority is assuring the public that 98% of palm oil sold on the market now is safe for consumption. The announcement follows months of warning against the consumption of palm oil after news broke that large quantities of palm oil sold was adulterated with Sudan 4, an industrial dye which is also a cancer-causing agent. Deputy Chief Executive of the FDA, John Odamidakwa, says after 3 months of rigorous sensitization and laboratory tests from the 10 regions, results showed that 98% of the palm oil tested negative for Sudan 4 dye.
About 3 months ago, the Food and Drugs Authority issued a public warning against the consumption of palm oil sold in markets across the country. The warning became necessary following investigations which revealed that most palm oil sold on the markets contained Sudan 3 and Sudan 4 dyes, which are cancer-causing agents. Large quantities of the adulterated palm oil were confiscated by the FDA from 10 major markets in Accra and Tema. The FDA says results from further tests conducted from the 10 regions shows that palm oil is now safe.
The Food and Drugs Authority, after these interventions, took samples from markets in Accra Tema Metropolis, the same quantity as we tested at the beginning of the project. And I must say that we have moved from 98% of non-compliance to less than 10% of non-compliance. And that means that virtually every palm oil in the country, or as we get it on the market, is now safe. Now, even those with the letter we found, interaction with them indicates that they had used old drums, which they had not washed. And so they have been trained to wash with warm, soapy water to make sure the drums are well cleaned before receiving any further consignment. The good news is that all the trucks that supply the palm oil to our markets today are found to be Sudan dye-free. This is an indication that the Sudan dye adulteration practice in our market has been under control. And if there is any adulteration at all, it may be unintentional adulteration because of containers being used at the marketplace. Consumers are encouraged to be vigilant that the palm oil today on our market is safe, and we should continue to patronize the buying of palm oil and consumption at the same time, so that we get the nutrition that we get from palm oil. And we are showing Ghanaians that buy your palm oil confidence, eat it with confidence, because FDA guarantees you assurance of safety.
The investigations of the palm oil also led to the arrest of 22 women who are now being processed for courts. Head of the Drug Law Enforcement Unit of the Criminal Investigations Department, DSP David Hupoti, says they are treating this case as an organized crime.
Then we have 2 case files against them. Now, we've prepared the case files and we've submitted it to the CID, Legal and Prosecution Units, and then they are going to peruse it to see everything is okay. And that will take a very short time. It doesn't take much time to do that. And we are very sure that within a couple of days, the case will be sent to the court for
It's been over 2 months since this.
Yes. As I told you, I said we are looking at the issue as an organized crime, and investigating this takes some time. For example, we need to know who are bringing in the Sudan dye, the synthetic dye. We need to know who are the transporters. We need to know who are the queen mothers who are ordering this. We need to know where they are producing it. We need to know all those retailers in the market. This takes some time. So you could understand that it takes, even this is a record time investigation.
Meanwhile, as part of sensitization program for market women and the general public, suppliers and sellers of palm oil have been issued with identification cards to enable consumers identify those selling wholesome products. Matilda Pamaga for Joy News, Accra.
Ghana loses between 3 to 5 million cedis annually to the destruction of the environment by businesses and individuals. The Environmental Protection Agency and other environment campaign groups and individuals have been discussing new guidelines for the preservation of the ecosystem in Accra. And Odame was there for Joy News.
Currently, the Forestry Commission and the EPA have rules and regulations for environmental conservation. These rules are, however, easily flouted because of lax enforcement and loose monitoring by the regulatory agencies. The new guidelines, according to the Deputy Director of the EPA, Ebenezer Ampasapong, will be binding.
There are existing instruments like our laws that we use to ensure that biodiversity is protected. But we want to deepen that process.
Are they going to have teeth to bite as well for those who do not comply?
Yes, certainly. We are making sure that we get the views of all stakeholders so that we have a comprehensive guideline. And then the next step will be the implementation phase. And from guidelines, when we find that is well done and well implemented, you can then move on to maybe converting it into standards or providing a legal framework, converting it into some regulation.
The guidelines, to be titled Business and Offset Scheme, will receive international input from the John Ejekum Kufuor Foundation, which is championing biodiversity awareness in Ghana. Chief Executive Officer of the Foundation, Professor Bafua Jumandria, tells me the inputs include new biodiversity-friendly products and service initiatives for conservation.
Already the EPA and the Forestry Commission have been working on it, but we came in to bring our expertise and our financial support to enable these state agencies to quickly get stakeholders together, to work together for the adoption and hopefully the enforcement of these new guidelines that we are producing.
You said you were bringing on board your expertise. Exactly what?
Basically, through the President's initiatives with the UN, we have gotten a lot of materials, access to materials and experts. So as I speak to you, there's a gentleman from the UN who is with us here in Accra helping to review these things. So they want to make sure the guidelines are on international standards.
For Joy News, my name is Hannah Odami.
The Rotary Club of Accra Airport is literally taking the fight against corruption to new heights. The club has sponsored 2 giant billboards near the main court complex in Accra to remind judicial officials as well as those seeking justice to maintain high levels of integrity and equity. The project follows the biggest corruption scandal in the history of the Ghanaian judiciary. After unveiling the billboards, the president of the Accra Airport branch, William Ufori, says the 2 structures are meant to appeal to the conscience of Ghanaians to do the right thing.
The 4-way test actually is the guiding principle of Rotarians worldwide. It's been the guiding principle for the past 50 years and it's been translated to over 100 languages in over 160 countries. And basically, it guides us to also share with the community and share with other professionals that in everything we do, we're guided by these 4 principles. Number 1, is it the truth? Number 2, is it fair to all concerned? Number 3, would it build goodwill and better friendships? And finally, would it be beneficial to all concerned? And we came into partnership with the judiciary because at the end of the day, when people bring cases to court, both the complainant and those sitting on the case want to make sure that there is justice. And for there to be fair justice, first of all, it should have the truth established. It should be fair to all concerned. It should be beneficial, should build goodwill to all parties. And the Chief Justice, her ladyship, was actually very welcoming and instrumental in making sure that this was placed here. So we have one here and one at the Supreme Court.
For the first time in a long while, the minority in Parliament succeeded on Tuesday in frustrating government's latest attempt to borrow money from the international bond market. The finance minister was in Parliament seeking approval for further borrowing of $1 billion. But the minority raised objections, and this is what happened.
Some of the loans that have been presented have had sovereign guarantee back. What we did was to diversify our sources of guaranteeing products to make them market friendly. And Mr. Speaker, he knows that when we used the policy-based guarantee, we were able to go into the market. So I don't think that we should be confusing the two, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Point of order. Yes. Mr. Speaker, instead of stopping there, you are in a hole, you want to get out, now you are digging further. You are in a hole, Mr. Speaker. How do you get out by digging further? Mr. Speaker, $3.5 billion. What is worrying, Mr. Speaker, is that next year, 2017, the issue of 2007 will be due. At the time, Ghana will need $500 million to retire that bond. There's nothing in your sinking fund. How are you going to retire the 2017 bond? Mr. Speaker, I will not be part of this approval. I will not be part. I will not be part of this approval. Why will my colleague, the Deputy Minister, would they analyze risk associated with exchange rate exposure? You are changing from cedis to borrow in dollars. Over how many years? They should tell us and project with them what our city value will be in the next 10 years. Senior accountant. Mr. Speaker, I know he understands the word coupon rate, but he's trying to mislead the people of this country. Mr. Speaker, in 2007, he was a member, he was a deputy minister for finance. Mr. Speaker, he was in government when he went to the eurobond, Ghana expense eurobond. And today he's telling us that he doesn't understand the word coupon rate.
Now, sitting was suspended to allow the two sides come to a compromise on the matter. We can now speak to our parliamentary correspondent, Elting John Broby, live from Parliament. Good evening to you, Elting. Has the matter been resolved yet?
Not yet, Israel. They are still held up in a closed-door session in Parliament. The media, there was a press call. We've been asked to vacate the Chamber of Parliament. Earlier, the minority caucus met, the majority caucus met, and then when they came back at around 6:30, the majority leader, Mambabe, asked the media to vacate the chamber so that both caucuses will have a meeting. As I speak to you right now, they are in a meeting. I can hear, exchanges, words. I mean, people are speaking on top of their voice. It's difficult to hear what they are talking about, but I'm sure they want to resolve this matter in camera before the House will sit to continue with the work of the House before they go on this particular race. But the matter involving the $1 billion eurobond is not yet resolved. I'm sure that that's the more reason why they are having this in-camera meeting. When they are done and when they ask us to come in, then we will know the decision they will take. But for now, the minority members, those that I've spoken to, they've made it clear that they will continue to boycott the approval of this loan agreement. But on the majority side, I can see that they've whipped their members to come in. So for now, they have the required numbers. Even if the matter is resurrected and they want to do another head count. I'm sure this time around, the majority will have the numbers to go through with approval. I don't think that is what Parliament wants to see. They want to build consensus in resolving this particular issue.
All right, thank you very much, Elton John Brobe, joining us live from Parliament. Hopefully they would reach some resolution before the rise or the day ends. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. We have more stories coming up. Please don't go away. Watching Joy News Prime. Now, government officials have been reminded of a directive which bars them from flying first class on the state account. A reminder contained in a letter from the Office of the President and signed by the Chief of Staff, Julius Debra, on November 16 is aimed at reining in government spending. The letter is also asking the officials to restrict their trips to mandatory international assignments only. All non-essential travels are to be stopped, according to the Chief of Staff, and ministers are also entreated to travel by business class and not first class. Joining me on the phone line now, right, we were hoping to speak to Clement Park of the Office of the President, but he's not available at the moment. Now, just so you have an idea what first class is about, watch this video. Right. So now joining me via Skype is football administrator and businessman Herbert Mensah, who's very familiar with first and business class travels. Great to have you on the line, Herbert.
Hi, thank you very much.
All right, so I'm sure you're very familiar with the first class travels and the business class cabins. Would you say this directive from the presidency takes quite a bit away from the ministers?
No, I think it's actually common sense. I think there's very rarely a need for anybody other than maybe His Excellency the President or maybe a former president to travel first class. I think interestingly, in most organizations, you will actually find that a lot of senior management actually travel economy. Motorola and Nokia, where I represented them in Africa for many years, often their staff would travel in economy. And if I mention that recently I have a younger brother who is a banker's banker in the United Kingdom. Bernard, he was a partner at Goldman Sachs and now he's at Merrill Lynch, Bank of America. He recently went on a flight from London to DC, traveling in business class. And Osborne, the Chancellor of the Exchequer of England, also got on and sat in business class. They did not sit in first class. So it's very rare that you'll find anybody, even in a developed country, richer economies, sitting in first class.
All right. Would it be so bad, really, if we actually downgraded them to economy class?
Well, it depends who's in charge. If I was the president, I'd have everybody traveling economy class. I think that when the country is in the kind of dire state that it is, you then have people feeling that the people in charge feel their pain. You know, they go through the same, and they feel the pain. I think there is a case I find when I travel. I mean, obviously, for me, it's partly I'm larger than normal, so I struggle to fit into seats. But if you work, as I often do on flights, then I need the extra space. I need a tabling to be able to put laptops up and work, occasionally make calls from the flight to another part of the world if there's an ongoing transaction. And that is it. But if not, I often travel to South Africa. I sit in economy. I just choose a seat that has got more space. KLM, I've got an excellent comfort economy. So just behind business class, you can get more seats. You pay economy plus an extra €100 or $100, and you've got, and that is excellent. So I think depending on the purpose, you know, you can move between premium economy, comfort economy, and business if there's work to be done. And obviously, if it is a senior minister of state, then perhaps he'll be meeting with people that he needs to discuss at a certain level. But first class, I never quite understood why anybody who's living off the taxpayers' money should be sitting in first class.
All right, so you hold on for us. We have Clement Park. He's with the Office of the President. He's going to be sharing some more insight into this. Good evening to you, Mr. Park.
Yeah, good evening, Israel.
All right, so can you tell us a bit more about this directive? Explain to us. Now, we can understand that the President, for instance, will be traveling first class. But will this directive include the entourage that usually goes with him?
Well, I think the directive from the Chief of Staff was very clear. And if we will be trusting enough. I really see no reason why we need to shed any more light on it. Because as it clearly states, it is to remind all of us appointees and government officials that we have a responsibility of also doing our part to ensure that at all times we use public resources judiciously. And I think that this is not strange because this government has from time to time issued directives through the Chief of Staff on various subject matters. I think you remember, I think it was about 2-3 years ago, the directive of not allowing public institutions to give out hampers was made, which we are still upholding. And I think this is in a similar vein. We must all sacrifice a bit more to ensure that the meager resources available can be put to better use as far as improving the conditions of our people are concerned.
All right, so the question I was asking is, if there's a presidential travel or there's a presidential trip and some ministers have to go along, will this first-class ban affect them as well?
Well, in as far as I can tell, yes. And I think the communique, if you like, the directive from the Chief of Staff is very clear, very obvious. And in fact, I have had the chance to be on foreign trips in the company of His Excellency, and I indeed was not in first class. So I think that we can expect that if there was ever a time where other appointees had the privilege of being in first class, henceforth, that has been curtailed by this directive.
Now, what will be the sanction for any minister or government official who flouts this directive?
Well, the way the system works is that, all appointees, we deal directly or report to the Chief of Staff because it's the President's, if you like, frontline man. And therefore, once the Chief of Staff gives a directive, it can't be assumed that in many cases, in this particular case, he is doing this at the behest of His Excellency, the President. And I think that any appointee worth your salt, who truly knows the dynamics of the way our structure works.
Park is with the Office of the President. Thank you for making time to join us. We're going back onto Skype and to speak with Herbert Mensah, football administrator and businessman. Now, you heard Clement Park, who is with the Office of the President, and he doesn't quite say what sanction is going to be meted out to any government official found to have flouted this directive. How would you advise we go about it?
Well, I think we need to commend actually His Excellency in this regard. I think Clement Apak has been quite clear in terms of the objective. I think it's important that people understand that he says it goes through the Chief of Staff's office in terms of permits and in terms of it being able to go out. So it's very easy to see that there is a chain. And I think we all travel on planes. If you suddenly see your minister sitting in first class, you can presumably from there direct it back to the Chief of Staff's office and say, you saw this minister there, were they meant to be there, and so forth. I think internally, now that we have organizations like yourself, we've got social media, it's very easy for people to pass and make comments. And I think that if His Excellency is serious about it, which I believe that he is, otherwise he would not have issued the release, then we all wait and see. I think it's symbolically, it's very, very important. And it gives a sense, again, of some level of transparency. He's in charge. He's the only one who can sanction his ministers. And I think that if he's given a directive and a minister flouts it, I would presume that the minister will be exposed publicly or, removed from office or something because he's disobeyed a directive from the top.
All right. Thank you very much, Herbert. But before we go, I must say that, incidentally, my last business class experience was with you on the same flight.
Oh, is that right?
I'm sure you've been on a couple more, but I haven't been on any other.
Well, I'm sure we shall definitely meet again on flights. You know, as I said, there's the work side of it, which makes it significant. But as a private businessman, you know, we buy our own tickets. So if it's too expensive, then it affects your bottom line in terms of your cash flow. Business class tickets are expensive.
They are.
And they are very expensive, often too expensive. And first class is often ridiculously expensive. Let me put it like that.
All right, thank you very much, Herbert. And yes, I'm very much looking forward to having my next business class experience with Herbert, hopefully. Again, you're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll bring you business news. All right, so time now for Business on Joy News Prime. And a new law aimed at streamlining government's borrowing as well as punishing institutions that consistently spend outside approved budgets is set to take effect from the last quarter of 2016. The Public Financial Management and Accountability Bill has become necessary following concerns about the rising public debt as well as expenditure. The Finance Ministry is in the process of laying the bill before Parliament for consideration. Chief Economist at the Finance Ministry, Eva Eselba-Ment, spoke with Joy Business at a presentation on the new bill with the country's development partners.
What this new law will do is to open up that engagement and bring into it cabinet. So it is not only the presidency, but cabinet will also be involved in determining fiscal targets for government and also approve it and will be bound by it. We believe that it will commit cabinet and all cabinet ministers to fiscal targets. So it is not the Ministry of Finance document or position, but it is government-wide position, and therefore the government will be held accountable for adherence to the fiscal targets in the document. It will also open up and explain the assumptions underlining government fiscal policy. For instance, right now, all you hear about is that new taxes are coming up. Sometimes it is only after that you have the minister coming onto the radio to explain why we are having new taxes, or the GRA will come back and explain. This one, you're going to have, even before the revenue measures are passed, the government will have to explain and provide to Parliament the underlying assumptions, the implications of the revenue measures. The same with expenditure.
A new policy document expected to guide and coordinate all projects being managed by the state has been launched. The National Public Investment Management Policy is also expected to streamline government investment into various projects in the country. Speaking to Joy Business after the launch, Director of the Public Investment Division, Magdalena Painting, said the new policy would help ensure more prudent management of public funds and investments.
Basically, what we have done in the past, we have done some sort of project management and project preparation. This is expected to put all of it in focus, and therefore we have developed a public investment management system that would collate all the project management activities that we are undertaking in the country, so that when you go to one site, you can have a look at whatever is happening in terms of infrastructure provision, in terms of the contracts that are emanating from from the provision of the infrastructure, and also in terms of our capital spending and capital expenditure on the various projects that we have. So that is how it is going to be. And this time, what we expect the various MDAs, that is the ministry, departments and agencies, to do is to go onto the system and to input the projects. And therefore, there's a thorough project appraisal, that goes through undertaking a project.
The Zimbabwean government is considering adopting the Chinese yuan as a national currency. This follows an announcement by the Chinese government of plans to cancel a $40 million debt owed it by the South African nation. Joy Business explores in this report whether African nations having difficulties with currency stability like Ghana should follow the path of Zimbabwe.
If you begin to adopt a certain country's currency, as it were, as a medium of exchange in your own economy, what it means is that you don't print that currency, and so you subject your economy to the dictates of the monetary policy of the country that prints that currency. Okay, it is for this singular reason that most of the countries that depend on the dollar as a medium of exchange, and if you have a lot of dollars in your economy, it's for that reason that these countries struggle, because then you are pretty much left at the dictates of monetary policy that's in the US. Okay, and so I'm not too sure how the Zimbabwean economy wants to deal with it, but what I can see directly is that they will begin to lose, the monetary policy authorities will begin to lose some level of control that they have in using monetary policy to stimulate economic activity when they find themselves in any of the challenges that the economy is currently faced with. If, for example, monetary policy would dictate that you need to, as it were, even devalue the currency, for instance, you're not the one who controls it. And so you're unable to do that, to even support and boost up local domestic production and exports. Besides that, if you have any dictates in terms of policy and currency supply in Beijing, I mean, that is equally going to have an effect on you.
Right, we're taking a break for business. When we come back, there are more stories. Right, let's get on to some politics now. Suspended General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Kwabena Ejapong, has responded to reasons the party says led to his indefinite suspension about a week ago. In a statement, Mr. Ejapong said he rejects all of the reasons ascribed by the NPP for his suspension, saying they are attempts to impugn his reputation and tarnish his good name. Head of our political desk here at Joy News, Evan Spencer, joins me in the studio with more. Good evening to you, Evan.
Good evening, Israel.
What else is Mr. Ejapong saying in the statement?
Well, he says that a lot of the reasons the party gave are simply trumped-up charges. For example, he says that one of the reasons the party gave was that he wrote to the Electoral Commission stating that it's only himself and the national chairman who should be signatories to any communication coming from the political party. Now, the party claimed that that obviously went behind the steering committee and the NEC that should take the decision as a body. He says that's not true, and that is verifiable, that in fact is the EC, it says rather somebody from the party had written to the Electoral Commission, and the EC noticed that it's not coming from the General Secretary, and so the EC rather called the attention of the political party to it. The subsequent to that, every communication coming from the party should be from either the General Secretary or the chairman, and therefore he didn't initiate that at all. And a final one that he talks about that was interesting also is he claimed that he had made pronouncements publicly that dragged the party's name into dispute after the flag bearer. Yeah, exactly. After
the by the flag bearer.
That you shouldn't comment. He says, well, anything he had said since he gave a date, since the flag bearer made that pronouncement, he'd not said anything after that publicly that dragged the name of the party into dispute, and that again, he says, is verifiable. And so he says this is simply designed to get his name
tarnished. All right, now, is that very accurate? Or otherwise, you correct me, when exactly did he have that interview with you where he stated that he was supposed to be eating fufu or something? Was that after the...
That was before. That was before.
That was before.
That was before. That was in the early days of the confusion. In fact, that was a steering committee that had been held, and he was not part of the steering committee meeting. And this was very early days of this whole back and forth that has led to his suspension.
Okay. Now, we also know that he's filed a petition against Joy FM and my Joy Online. What are his concerns in there?
Well, mainly he talks about the story that we run on myjoyonline.com. That is a document we got from the party, essentially about what transpired when he met the party's disciplinary committee in the NEC and the minutes of it. And he says it's a distorted form of what happened, and that he has the original copy, and he thinks that it's all calculated. He believes that we are all, sort of in the pocket of somebody, just trying to tarnish his name. It's an interesting complaint is written to the NMC about. Of course, I mean, it's his right to write to the NMC.
And somewhere in there pops up this issue about your interview with him.
Yeah, of course. I mean, for me, that was the strangest bit, because he knows there's no way. I mean, there are things I can't say, but if I'm called to the NMC, I'll be forced to reveal that. I'm not prepared to say it here, but he knows, and I'm pretty shocked. When I was called from like two weeks ago, some Sunday evening. His people, in fact, his spokesperson used his phone to call me, that you're going to do this and that they're going to cite that. I'm like, okay, feel free to do that. Because the man himself at one point called to ask us we should let this lie, and he knows why he said we should let this lie. So, well, he's gone to the NMC. I'm happy he cited that. Okay, so this will pan out quite obviously before the elections. We'll see how this pans out. It's an interesting one.
So what else does he say in the statement? Because I'm getting some reports suggesting that he says what he's going to be campaigning for the flag bearer.
Well, he says in this same statement where he's sort of coming back at the party with what they've done to suspend him, at the bottom half of the statement, he says that he will pray for the victory of the NPP in the 2016 elections, and that he should remain a committed member of the party, and he will play his role how he can to help the party's victory next year. And that he's awaiting, though. He seemed to associate himself with, in fact, not seem, he in fact associated himself with a suit that the national chairman, suspended national chairman, had filed in court, and he wants to see how that pans out in court, because he believes a pronouncement on that would affect him naturally, automatically, because the same processes were used to get him suspended.
All right. Okay, thank you very much, Evans Mason. Evans Mason is the head of our political desk here at Joy News. In other news, the chiefs and people of Nkonya and Alavanyo in the Volta region have once again resumed the mediation process to end the protracted conflict between them. They have signed a peace flag to signify their willingness to engage in negotiations and cease all hostilities. Here's a report from Fred Kwame Asare.
This is the third consecutive attempt aimed at bringing a lasting peace between Nkonya and Alavanyo. The genesis of the conflict dates as far back as 1920, when natives of the two towns were embroiled in a misunderstanding over the ownership of a stretch of land, which consequently resulted in the killing of people from both sides. Dozens of lives have been lost and numerous casualties recorded in the 95-year-old conflict, and economic activities have also been brought to a halt in both communities. Government, in an attempt to resolve the conflict, constituted committees in 1992 and 1995 to help address issues relating to the conflict. But these committees recorded no significant moves towards lasting peace. The hope is that this latest attempt at mediation would end the conflict for good. At a so-called peace and unity derby at Spando to commence the mediation process, both parties presented their signed peace flags to the Volta Regional Peace Council, signed a peace accord, and promised a collaborative effort towards the attainment of peace. The paramount chief of Alavanyo, Togbi Chaji Atokora, who affirmed that both factions are suffering due to the conflict, pledged his support and commitment to a successful mediation process.
Please, let us all join hands as we have danced. After the dance, Nanayam and myself, we know what to do after here. We have our own plans. And Nanaya Okoto Kofi, if I should go to him, he knows what we do together. So that is Seji Atakura. If you are not very sure, ask my girlfriends in Nkonya.
The Ankobia Hene of Nkonya traditional area, Nana Ampem Dakon, urged both parties to stop being hypocrites as negotiations for peace are underway, and urged the third parties of the mediation process to critically analyze the conflict situation for the appropriate approaches.
Leave this hypocrisy and then do the right thing. We are intermarried. Dogbe Hefu, the chief of Alavanyo Deme, is my senior brother, and I am the chief of Ahonjo. How can you tear us apart? Will Dogbe Hefu take his army into Ahonjo to come and shoot me? Or will any Nkonya man go to Nkonya Deme and shoot Dogbe Hefu and I'll smile because I look stupid?
Volta Regional Minister Helen Ajua Ntoso urged Nkonya and Alavanyo to exhibit a collaborative effort towards the peace-building process to expedite an end to protracted conflict and also shame people who are skeptical about a lasting peace between them.
We will continue until we have a lasting peace in Nkonya and Alavanyo. We will witness the presentation of peace flags by the chiefs and people of Nkonya and Alavanyo. This event follows our interaction with the two communities during the celebration of the United Nations International Day of Peace.
The Minister for Interior, Mark Woyongo, urged both factions to report those who breached the peace process to the police.
There is no substitute for dialogue. there is no substitute for dialogue, especially in conflict situations. So you must dialogue. You must continue to jaw and stop the warring.
He also appealed to them to endeavor to leave a legacy for generations unborn by finding a solution to the conflict during the mediation process. Fred Barima Osare's report for Joy News.
We're taking a break now. Up next, we'll bring you international news. Now, a suit has been filed in the Accra High Court to force the Transport Minister to publicize details of the contracts for the rebranding of 116 mass transit buses. Minority members of Parliament and several members of the public have raised questions about the 3.6 million cedi contract, describing it as overpriced. One of the plaintiffs in the suit demanding more details on the contract is Lolan Eko Sego Moses, who joins us now on Skype. Good evening to you, Lolan.
Good evening, Israel.
All right, so why this suit now?
Pardon me?
Why this suit now?
Why this suit? For the simple reason that we believe it is our constitutional right to information as citizens of Ghana. And we believe there's been a lot of information in the press over the past few days about the suit, but we want official information from the Minister of Transport about the contracts, all documents relating to the contracts, and any other relevant documents to allow us to make an informed judgment about this bus branding issue.
Which other documents are you looking for? Because I think the minister has made it clear that the contract sum is 3.6 million cedis. It is not in dispute. And we know that it involves 116 buses. What other information are you seeking?
Well, we'd like to know, for example, whether the contract was sole sourced or it was procured through competitive bidding. What other bids were on the table when this contract was signed, and the process that led to the signing of this contract. So that is the extra information that we seek.
Right. Or what difference will this extra information make?
So, for instance, if we know that the contract was sole sourced, then all Ghanaians can ask the question, why was this contract sole sourced? Because we know that the Procurement Act has very strict provisions for sole sourcing. Governments cannot just sole source any and every contract it so wishes. One of the provisions is that there must be an emergency. Branding of buses, I think you'll agree with me, is not really an emergency situation. So that is the difference that extra information will make.
All right, thank you very much, Lolan Sego Moses, for joining us via Skype with your thoughts on this particular issue. We're taking a break on Joy News Prime 2 station. All right, time now for entertainment, and Miss G has joined me. Good evening to you, Miss G.
Good evening, Israel. How are you doing?
I'm very fine. How about you?
Very well, thank you.
Are you sure?
Okay, yes, I am. Why do you think I'm not
it's funny that each time you ask somebody, how are you doing, they say, I'm fine, even though they may not be very fine.
Well, because they are hopeful that they'll be fine. Yeah. Okay, I'm hopeful I'll be fine. Okay. Is that okay?
You're not in a very good shape.
Yeah.
But it shows how much you love your
it shows how much I love the viewers. And it shows how much I love to catch fun with you.
And the viewers also love you too.
Oh, I don't. Oh, yeah, choppies.
Especially the guys.
Oh, okay. What about the ladies?
All right, so Yvonne Okoro on the Beast of No Nation. Now, this Beast of No Nation movie seems, there's controversies.
The saga won't just go away. But, Yvonne Okoro this time around is not just complaining that Beast of No Nation has been nominated. She has a problem with the Ghana Movie Awards. Apparently, in some years past, she was actually nominated, and the award was given to 4 lead characters, a car for 4 of them. She wonders how if they would ever share one car. 4 people. The organizers told them to sell the car and split the money amongst themselves.
Oh, how?
So she has a lot of problem with it. And she even has a problem with the one who organizes the show, because she says that he's also a struggling actor.
Fred Nyama?
Fred Nyama, of course. So let's listen to Yvonne Okoro.
Just get up from Ghana and say that, okay, I produce a movie in Hollywood, so that makes me an American producer, Hollywood producer. So if somebody can just come here from anywhere and use Ghanaian actors and producers and say that that is a Ghanaian movie, then you can't stop them because there's really no structures in place. But I mean, let's be honest. I've had a problem with this award scheme forever. I don't go for the awards. I don't submit any movie whatsoever because I remember I called Fred categorically and stated that until he improves the award scheme and it's no more about family and friends and who he's good with and cool with, and he can change that concept of people lying in bed with plaques every single year, then I would definitely come for the award. And it's just a shame that it took Beast of No Nations for us to reconcile the fact that there is a problem with this award scheme. The fact that, number one, you give an award to 4 actresses. Number 2, I mean, who is marking us? I mean, Fred, isn't he a struggling actor himself? Like, I'm confused. I'm sorry. I mean, it's like a blind man leading another blind man.
Ouch.
Oh. Ouch.
Ouch.
You know, but
oh, Miss Okoro's got issues.
Seriously,
yeah.
She has. But you know, it's amazing. They're very cool friends. They're very cool friends. There's no bad blood between she and Fred Nyama. Fred Nyama is a fantastic guy, and so she only needs the structures to be applied to this. Yes, you know, to this movie awards. But whilst people are complaining about Barima Osei Asare, Beast of No Nation, grabbing 15 nominations here in Ghana, the dude is winning awards elsewhere. Now, he's been mentioned as the Critic Film's best young rising star artist, you know, in the USA. And you know what? They said that he's the most strongest and the most phenomenal actor they have ever seen. And they know that he's going to have a bright future, you know. He's the most strongest and the most phenomenal actor, young actor they've seen. And he's got a bright future. Whilst we are here talking about why this movie has been nominated.
Squabbling whether the movie should be nominated or not. And he's out there winning awards.
Winning awards,
I mean,
you know.
clearly, it looks like the movie is going to win him a few more awards. I mean,
true.
For instance, we're talking about the Ghana Movie Awards, which wouldn't be one of the biggest. He's won several others, and this latest one that's coming as well. And I'm sure there'll be a few more also coming in.
Sure, for him. We wish more the best, of course. The only thing is that I don't like it that they talk about this thing in his presence. It makes him, you know, he makes him feel like, okay, they don't appreciate my works anyway. And so very soon we might not see him. Remember, he's already said that he doesn't want to have anything to do with Ghanaian movies. Yes?
Oh, he said
Yeah, he said that. He said for now he doesn't want to act in a Ghanaian movie.
Anyway, but all this that's going on in the Ghana Movie Awards and everything, I wonder what Lil Wayne would have to say about this Beast of No Nation.
Lil Wayne? You mean Kuma Hood Lil Wayne? Oh, he said Lil Wayne Maba.
You should speak to him about
Lil Wayne Maba. He doesn't have an idea what this is about. He has an idea what the Kuma Hood... Anyway, he's on the billboard.
Yeah,
did you see him on
I
the
saw him
billboard?
on the billboard.
What Yvonne of Korea was complaining about, you know, in the hotel room and they were lying in the bed and doing what?
One thing that we should change, I mean...
They should change, yeah, that concept, yes. Right. Well, so let's talk about what makes you a hopeful Ghanaian.
Well, I continue to be hopeful that Doomsor will end one day.
Okay. Yeah. It hasn't got anything to do with the African star apple.
What is African star apple?
I hear that's what they call Alansa.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. What's the mouthful name for that tiny fruit, you know? Alansa, Kolilako, that's what I know. I didn't know that it's called the African star apple.
Hey.
And
I have
guess,
to check that one out.
Yes, you need to check that one out. Guess who is hopeful because of the Alansa tree? He's hopeful to be Ghanaian because of the Alansa tree. Oh, you need to. The man who walks barefooted.
Oh, One Love.
One Love the cold ball. He's so grateful, hopeful as Ghanaian because of the Alansa tree. Anytime he sees the Alansa tree, he's hopeful as a Ghanaian.
Hey.
Only hope in Ghana is that there's still Alansa trees. And every season the Alansa grows and it's still tasting good. So that's why I'm still thinking of Ghana.
Because of the Alansa? Apart from Alansa, there's nothing that gives you hope.
I went to Uganda and I saw different shaped girls there. So I've moved my mind from Ghanaian girls. So Alansa trees, once they don't cut them down and the Alansa is still coming, I have hope for Ghana. We grew up in a time when I was sitting in my father's car when I was young, I never saw my father stop at a police barrier and give money to a police. I never saw my father bribe the guys coming to read the light meter, that, oh, don't read it, just do connection for. I never saw any of that. But our next generation coming up have seen us doing this as normal. So the next wave coming, the corruption will be pure VVIP white powder corruption. With the open church, Bank of God, you don't get anything. With the camp talk, I dash you money. You say God bless you. If God they listen you, why he no bless you? Beggar like a type. Ghana police. Armed robbers they search your backyard list. Beggar like a type. Shatawali.
All right. Anyway, the least said the better.
He said right.
Okay, so the Rapaholic concert didn't come off last year. Sarkodie's Rapaholic concert. This year is coming on. Multimedia are proud partners of the Rapaholic concert. Sarkodie was in the Joy FM studio speaking to Lexus Bill. He's been talking about the Rapaholic concert and also his hand-to-mouth track.
All right.
Because I was trying to pile up the catalog with music, you know, because I think I had to work more, you know, and I didn't feel like within me that I had to do it, and I listened to my instincts. I think this year is actually the best year to do it. Compared to the previous ones, I think I have loads of music. A lot has happened that, you know, Sac Nation is going to be able to share with me when we have a one-on-one, and it's always crazy, you know, when we link up. So I think this year actually makes sense, you know, to bring Rapaholic back, and sometimes you need to miss it. I miss it myself. I miss how the whole vibe is. Yes.
What moderated this song? Tell me.
It was actually my uncle talking.
Your uncle?
That's what people actually mistake the song for, because I'm saying it like this is me. You know, because that's how my uncle talks to me.
Oh, I see.
That's what he said. I think that was some years back. I didn't really understand it. I was trying to, you know, live the young life, try to just, you know, have fun. When you make money, you're trying to get the sneakers, you're doing this and that. And he actually asked me, he literally walks around with calculator.
Oh, wow.
You know, so when you have a wristwatch on, you ask you how much.
All right, so that's Obidi Pompidi.
Looking forward to the
Rapaholic concert, of course. But before I go, I have a surprise for you. It's Christmas. A lot of people have been singing to us their favorite Christmas carol. Here is our own director, Atu Kwamina Dazi, with the Joy FM Boys to Men or the Men to Boys.
All right.
Sing as Christmas carol. Let's play that.
Joyce to Men. Joy FM Boys to Men or Boys to Men 997 edition. 1, 2. Brunya riba akokwa wadonwa seminya peswa kamoto biu. Brunya riba akokwa wadonwa seminya peswa kamoto biu. Brunya riba akokwa wadonwa seminya peswa kamoto biu.
It's already on Facebook.
It is on Facebook.
It's on Facebook already. We've had about 55,000 views already.
55,000
I'm telling you. And people are sharing.
So all this was by Atu Kwamina Dazi.
I told you.
He was the brain behind this whole thing.
He says Boys to Men or Men to Boys at 997. So that's the choir for the moment.
Atu Kwamina Dazi.
Can you imagine? Atu. Are we?
Thank you very much, Ms. G, for bringing us entertainment. We're taking a break. We'll be back with you. Please don't go away.
This is Joy FM Boys to Men. Joyce to Men. Joy FM Boys to Men or Boys to Men 997 edition. 1, 2. Brunya riba akokwa wadonwa seminya peswa kamoto biu. Brunya riba akokwa wadonwa seminya peswa kamoto biu. Brunya riba akokwa wadonwa seminya peswa kamoto biu.
Entertainment news.
All right, time now for, before we bring a recap of our top stories at this point. The Food and Drugs Authority has given the all clear for the sale of palm oil 3 months after the warning that the product had been adulterated with a cancer-causing agent. A disagreement over the eurobond transaction has forced Parliament to briefly suspend sitting. And the chiefs and elders of Nkonya and Alavanyo have committed to a new round of mediation to end the 95-year-old conflict between the two Volta region towns. Right, we'll be bringing you sports in a bit, but let's get on to social media and see some of the stories that we have there. Of course, we have some trending videos. This video is Kwa Kese on stage with a goat. And if you look clearly, the goat actually has on diapers. Wonder why he actually had to do that. It had some 155 shares. You may want to check it out on our Facebook page. And then let's get on to Twitter and see some of the trends in Ghana. So we have on the top trend, number one trend is Drive on Joy. And Drive on Joy is on Joy FM. It's hosted by Lexus Bill. So you can get it. Was because, essentially because Sarkodie was on the show, and Sarkodie can get people tweeting. So we have Drive on Joy. Paul put inside, that I don't know, even though I have some idea what it is. Club at Crystal, and on Steve Harvey is still actually trending, I'm sure, from the Miss Universe mix-up there. So those are some of the stories we have on social media, on Twitter. So you can go on and get to see some of the comments that we also have on the stories we've put up there. Now, up next, we're bringing you sports news with Gary Osmith. All right, can I have Gary join? Gary, just come over.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so one of the stories that we're looking at, I mean, one of the stories that has been trending for some time now, about this rumor, speculation that, Louis van Gaal.
Yeah, about Louis van Gaal. Well, why don't you give me a second? Let's just explain to Israel, this is your baby. How do you do this?
So what exactly are you looking for?
So type Trevor Sinclair.
Okay.
Trevor Sinclair. So we are going to teach you how we use the touch screen today. I mean, one of these days we are going to bring one of you into the studio. Trevor Sinclair. Yeah. Trevor space Sinclair. No. Let's do this.
That's it.
Yes.
Okay. That would be his account.
Okay. So this is the story.
Take over.
So this is the story. He's a BBC journalist, yes. And so an hour ago, he went to a Christmas party organized by the BBC, right? Now, he put his phone down and he went to have a drink. Somebody takes his phone and tweets that Louis van Gaal is to be sacked. Then the person tweets Louis van Gaal is gone. Then tweets Jose is at the swamp. Now, because it's from a verified account, people actually take it very seriously. Yeah. While he was chilling and having drinks with his friends, the whole world was having headlines. Some news websites actually carried the story.
Quoting him, I'm sure.
Quoted him. So somebody drew his attention, and then he comes and says, "Sorry to disappoint, but cheer up, you moody lot. He might not stay for the full duration of the deal." And he says, "Schoolboy error. I left my phone on the table at the Christmas party. Sincere apologies for my last 2 tweets."
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, no.
I mean, the number of serious websites who took this seriously, you know. So anyway, that's how we begin the sport today. Before we come back, we take a commercial break.
Yeah, we'll take a break and come back, and Gary will take over.
Hello, and thanks for joining us for Sport on Prime. I'm Gary Al Smith. Now, to Ghana football news. The Ghana Football Association has announced some news that is making waves across the continent of Africa. This is a continent where it's very, very common to see that, and as research has shown, 5 years after footballers finish their careers, most of them become poor. The GFA has announced their retirement fund for aging national footballers to help them sort their retirements out and also to advise them on what to do with their money while they are still active.
We cannot find comfort by abandoning our commitment to our national heroes and retreating within our own conscience. If we were to neglect our duty to these former footballers, our conscience will not leave us alone. It will simply move to the forefront of our minds. There is no comfort in not taking action, and there is no honor in retreat. The time is to act now. In furtherance of this noble vision, the Executive Committee of the Ghana Football Association mooted the idea of setting up the Retired Footballers Endowment Fund to raise funds to support our retired footballers in conjunction with the organization representing their interests. It's called RENFAC, Retired National Footballers Association of Ghana. And the leader, the chairman or the president of that group is the 1971 African Footballer of the Year, Ibrahim Sande. Our vision is to help players not only from the 1950s to 1990s, but all Ghanaian footballers of all generations who are in need. This means the current and future generations of retired national team players will benefit from the fund if they fall on hard times.
Fantastic news. And just this morning, I saw on Kenyan, Ugandan, and South African websites, and people having discussions saying Ghana leading the way. Positive news at last for the country. Anyway, at the same seminar, Kwesi Nyantakyi was speaking at the Alisa Hotel, and Kojo Fiano, the CEO of Ash Gold, shared his experience and said he recognizes the media as a stakeholder. Don't forget that the seminar where Kwesi Nyantakyi was speaking was a two-day event for media and Ghana League executives and also media officers of Ghana League clubs.
So good. In every human endeavor, at the end of every business, you have to sit down and take stock. Where you've made it, where you couldn't make it. Where you made it, you will try to improve upon it. Where you've made mistakes, you try to correct them. So we've come here, looked at 2014, 2015, what we've done good, what we've done bad, and then plan for 2015, 2016. So I would say that it's been very rewarding for all of us, all the stakeholders. We touch on technical issues, we touch on media, which is very, very important. I am saying that you cannot do any business and succeed without the involvement of the media. I will be the first to admit that yes, we have overdone certain things, but I believe that having been here for 2 days, if really we will go back and do what is expected of us, I believe that we will see a vast improvement in our football. So I think that it's been worthwhile. It's been worthwhile.
So that's Kojo Fiano. Also speaking at that event, he urged football authorities to enforce the implementation of the club licensing policy. Now, the club licensing policy is a document that, if put into force, will help streamline and structure the way Ghanaian football at the local level, especially in the Ghana Premier League, is improved.
That thing I also observed is the lip service that we've been paying to the club licensing issue. I think it's something we started 5 seasons ago, and we should be seen to be implementing it now. We need to gather that courage and implement it, because you also agree with me that some of our league centers do not meet the standards. And if you want to make our football attractive, it is the environment, the infrastructure, whatever we do, to make it complete. You can buy the best of players, but if they train on very bad pitches, they play on bad pitches, you will lose some of these stars to injury. So I think that the club licensing issue is one thing that the media should also help to ensure that we implement it as quickly as possible. We should.
Away from football to athletics, 2015 has been a mix of interesting and not so interesting, good and bad for Ghanaian athletics. The top things that have happened in athletics have come at the All Africa Games, and so we decided to sit back and look at 2015 in retrospect. So the Joy Sports analysis and wrap of 2015 athletics done by Benedict Owusu.
Ghana's athletics was headlined by Martha Bisa in 2015, but the 2014 World Youth Olympics gold medalist had a stagnated career when we all thought she was going to perfume her dominance. Bisa couldn't obtain the qualification mark for the All-Africa Games, and that was only half of the story. That aside, track and field won 4 silver and 3 bronze medals in the country medal haul of 19 at the All-Africa Games in Congo-Brazzaville. John Ampoma broke the national time in javelin and won silver at the Games. Jordan Yamwa grabbed silver in pole vault, with Marizuta also winning silver in javelin. The Catholic Achu Nyamadi and quartet of Lengso Japan, Jima Achampon, Beatrice Jaman and Janet Amponsan were also silver medal winners at the event. Long jumper Richard Siklewu became the first Ghanaian athlete ever to win a gold medal in the history of the Commonwealth Youth Games after jumping 7.67 meters to clinch the boys' long jump in Samoa. On the downside, Ghana did not have a representative at this year's World Athletics Championship in Beijing after 2 United States-based athletes Janet Amponsan and Alisa Mankwa were denied visas by the Chinese embassy.
So you can find a full version of what you just watched on myjoyonline.com, the Joy Sports Ghana Sports Review Athletics 2015. We have all the information there, as well as something to remind you of how Ghana fared at the 2015 All-Africa Games. It's all there as we continue our wrap of the various sports. We've done swimming so far, taekwondo, we've also done athletics, and a few more. That's it for the sport for now. My name is Gary Al Smith. We are back later.